history, I went down to the Amazon, where there are still surviving shamanistic cultures today, and where they drink the powerful, visionary brew, ayahuasca. This is the one. Ayahuasca. We're not doing this for fun. Ayahuasca. This is the one. Ayahuasca. We're not doing this for fun. The active ingredient is dimethyltryptamine, DMT, which is actually closely related at the molecular level to psilocybin. Normally, DMT cannot be activated orally. When we encounter it in the West, it's generally smoked. There's an enzyme in our stomachs called monoamine oxidase, which switches off DMT on contact. But in the Amazon, they've got around this problem. They say it was the spirits that taught them how to do it. Ayahuasca. This is the one. Ayahuasca. We're not doing this for fun. Ayahuasca. This is the one. Ayahuasca. We're not doing this for fun. The DMT in the ayahuasca brew is contained in these leaves from a plant that they call shufflin in the Amazon. And there they mix it together with this vine. And out of the 150,000 different species of plants and trees in the Amazon, this is the one that contains a monoamine oxidase inhibitor, which switches off that enzyme in our stomachs and allows the DMT in the leaves, when the two are married together and cooked in water, to be absorbed orally. It takes us on a 4-hour journey to extraordinary realms. Extraordinary realms. Ayahuasca. This is the one. Ayahuasca. We're not doing this for fun. Ayahuasca. This is the one. Ayahuasca. We're not doing this for fun. It's no joke to drink ayahuasca. The ayahuasca brew has a foul taste. Really, really hideous. And a dreadful, dreadful smell. And after you've drunk your cup, you'll find within 45 minutes or so that you're sweating, that you're feeling nauseous. Pretty soon you may well be vomiting. Nobody's doing this for recreation. Nobody's doing this for recreation. Nobody's doing this for fun. Ayahuasca. This is the one. Ayahuasca. We're not doing this for fun. Ayahuasca. This is the one. Ayahuasca. We're not doing this for fun. That I don't think any of the psychedelics should be used for recreation. They have much more serious and important mission with humanity.
Understand the world. Like, I do think the world is more like a musical masterpiece than it is like anything else. And things are oddly connected. Now, I know that sounds new agey and it sounds metaphysical. I'm saying bluntly, this is speculative, right? I'm feeling out beyond the limits of my knowledge. I'm not willing to dismiss the mysterious. I'm not willing to dismiss
Asclepius, that Egypt is an image of heaven? Or to speak more exactly, in Egypt, all the operations of the powers which rule and work in heaven are present in the earth below. In fact, it should be said that the whole cosmos dwells in this our land, as in a sanctuary. And yet, since it is fitting that wise men should have knowledge of all events before they come to pass, you must not be left in ignorance of what I will now tell you. There will come a time when it will have been in vain that Egyptians have honored the Godhead with heartfelt piety and service, and all our holy worship will be fruitless and ineffectual. The gods will return from earth to heaven. Egypt will be forsaken, and the land which was once the home of religion will be left desolate, bereft of the presence of its deity. Oh, Egypt, Egypt. Oh, Egypt, Egypt. Oh, Egypt, Egypt. Of thy religion nothing will remain but an empty tale. Oh, Egypt, Egypt. Oh, Egypt, Egypt. Oh, Egypt, Egypt. Of thy religion nothing will remain but an empty tale, which thine own children in time to come will not believe. Nothing will be left but graven words, and only the stone will tell of thy piety. And in that day, men will be weary of life, and they will cease to think the universe worthy of reverent wonder and worship. They will no longer love this world around us, this incomparable work of God, this glorious structure which He has built, this sum of good made up of many diverse forms, this instrument whereby the will of God operates in that which He has made, ungrudgingly favoring man's welfare. This combination and accumulation of all the manifold things that call forth the veneration, praise, and love of the beholder. Darkness will be preferred to light, and death will be thought more profitable than life. No one will raise his eyes to heaven. The pious will be deemed insane. The impious wise, the madman will be thought a brave man, and the wicked will be esteemed as good. As for the soul, and the belief that it is immortal by nature, or may hope to attain to immortality, as I have taught you, all this they will mock, and even persuade themselves that it is false. Oh, Egypt, Egypt. Oh, Egypt, Egypt. Oh, Egypt, Egypt. Of thy religion nothing will remain but an empty tale. Oh, Egypt, Egypt. Oh, Egypt, Egypt. Oh, Egypt, Egypt. Of thy religion nothing will remain but no word of reverence or piety, no utterance worthy of heaven will be heard or believed, and so the gods will depart from mankind, a grievous thing. And only evil angels will remain, who will mingle with men and drive the poor wretches into all manner of reckless crime, into wars and robberies and frauds and all things hostile to the nature of the soul. Then will the earth tremble and the sea bear no ships. Heaven will not support the stars in their orbits. All voices of the gods will be forced into silence. The fruits of the earth will rot, the soil will turn barren, and the very air will sicken with sullen stagnation. All things will be disordered and awry. All good will disappear. will stop the disorder by the counterforce of his will, which is the good. He will call back to the right path those who have gone astray. He will cleanse the world of evil, washing it away with floods, burning it out with the fiercest fire, and expelling it with war and pestilence. And thus he will bring back his world to its former aspect, so that the cosmos will once more be deemed worthy of worship and wondering reverence. And God, the maker and maintainer of the mighty fabric, will be adored by the men of that day with continuous songs of praise and blessing. Such is the new birth of the cosmos. It is a making again of all things good, a holy and awe-inspiring restoration of all nature. And it is wrought inside the process of time by the eternal will of the Creator. Oh, Egypt, Egypt. Oh, Egypt, Egypt. Oh, Egypt, Egypt. Of thy religion nothing will remain but an empty tale. Akira.
He's got clout.
This is from Friedrich Nietzsche. Now, of course, you probably know that he was the philosopher who announced the death of God. What he meant by that was that the fundamental metaphysics that underlie Western culture had lost their foundation. And that the consequence of that would be the disintegration of the idea of value itself. Especially of value hierarchy. He thought of the inevitable consequence of that, or one of the inevitable consequences of that, a dramatic move towards a doctrine of radical equality. See, because if value itself is destroyed, that value distinction between things, so that not one thing is not any better than another, then there's no reason for hierarchies of virtue or of value. And so the equality doctrine is a logical outcome. So here's what he wrote about that.
Behold, this is the hole of the tarantula. Do you want to see the tarantula itself? Here hangs its web. Touch it so that it trembles. There it comes willingly. Welcome, tarantula. Your triangle and symbol sits black on your back. And I also know what sits in your soul. Revenge sits in your soul. Wherever you bite, black scabs grow. Your poison makes the soul whirl with revenge. Thus I speak to you in a parable. You who make souls whirl. You preachers of equality. To me you are tarantulas and secretly vengeful. But I shall bring your secrets to light. Therefore I laugh in your faces with my laughter of the heights. Therefore I tear at your webs, that your rage may lure me out of your lie holes, and your revenge may leap out from behind your word. Justice. For that man be delivered from revenge. That is for me the bridge to the highest hope. The tarantulas, of course, would have it otherwise. What justice means to us is precisely that the world be filled with the storms of our revenge. Thus they speak to each other. We shall wreak vengeance and abuse on all whose equals we are not. Thus do the tarantula hearts vow. And will to equality? To shall henceforth be the name for virtue. And against all that has power, we want to raise our clamor. You preachers of equality, the tyrannomania of impotence clamors thus out of you for equality. Your most secret ambitions to be tyrants thus shroud themselves in words of virtue, aggrieved conceit, repressed envy, perhaps the conceit and envy of your fathers, erupt from you as a flame and as the frenzy of revenge. While silent the Father speaks in the Son, and I often found the Son the unveiled secret of the Father. They are like enthusiasts, but it is not the heart that fires them, but revenge. And when they become elegant and cold, it is not the spirit, but envy that makes them elegant and cold. Their jealousy leads them even on the paths of thinkers, and this is the sign of their jealousy. They always go too far. So their weariness must in the end lie down to sleep in the snow. Tarantulas. 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 Out of every one of their complaints sounds revenge. In their praise there is always a sting, and to be a judge seems bliss to them. But thus I counsel you, my friends, mistrust all in whom the impulse to punish is powerful. They are people of a low sort and stock, the hangman and the bloodhound. 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 Look out at their faces. Mistrust all who talk much of their justice. Verily, their souls lack more than honey, and when they call themselves the good and the just, do not forget that they would be Pharisees, if only they had power. My friends, I do not want to be mixed up and confused with others. Some preach my doctrine of life and are at the same time preachers of equality. And tarantulas, although they are sitting in their holes, these poisonous spiders, with their backs turned on life, they speak in favor of life, but only because they wish to hurt. I do not wish to be mixed up and confused with these preachers of equality.
Japanese children sometimes learn from their mothers. as I described, will keep each other out. And the one depends on the other. It's mutual. So in the same way, the existence of human beings depends on our supporting each other. Without that, no one of us can exist. Warp and woof. Warp and woof. This process where one thread goes under the other, permits the next, goes under the other, warp and woof. Warp and woof. And then the next thing does the same thing but in the opposite way. Connect that. But that, which may seem a little trite, a little sort of moralistic and so on, but it is absolutely fundamental. That anything that there is, whenever we can say that something exists, existence is a function of relationship, of relationship, of relationship, of relationship, of relationship, of relationship, of
didactic little story. There are these two guys sitting together in a bar in the remote Alaskan wilderness. One of the guys is religious, the other's an atheist, and the two are arguing about the existence of God with that special intensity that comes after about the fourth beer. And the atheist says, look, it's not like I don't have actual reasons for not believing in God. It's not like I haven't ever experimented with the whole God and prayer thing. Last month I got caught away from camp in that terrible blizzard, and I was totally lost, and I couldn't see a thing, and it was 50 below. And so I tried it. I fell to my knees in the snow and cried out, oh God, if there is a God, I'm lost in this blizzard and I'm gonna die if you don't help me. And now, in the bar, the religious guy looks at the atheist all puzzled. Well, then you must believe now, he says. After all, here you are. Alive. The atheist just rolls his eyes. No, man, all that was a couple Eskimos happened to come wandering by and they showed me the way back to camp. It's easy to run the story through a kind of standard liberal arts analysis. The exact same experience can mean two totally different things to two different people, given those people's two different belief templates and two different ways of constructing meaning from experience. Tolerance and diversity of belief. Nowhere in our liberal arts analysis do we want to claim that one guy's interpretation is true and the other guy's is false or bad. Which is fine, except we also never end up talking about just where these individual templates and beliefs come from, meaning where they come from inside the two guys. As if a person's most basic orientation toward the world and the meaning of his experience were somehow just hardwired, like height or shoe size, or automatically absorbed from the culture, like language. As if how we construct meaning were not actually a matter of personal, intentional choice. Plus there's the matter of arrogance. The non-religious guy is so totally certain in his dismissal of the possibility that the passing Eskimos had anything to do with his prayer for help. True, there are plenty of religious people who seem arrogantly certain of their own interpretations too. They're probably even more repulsive than atheists. as the story's unbeliever. Blind certainty. A closed-mindedness that amounts to an imprisonment so total that the prisoner doesn't even know he's locked up. I think this is one part of what teaching me how to think is really supposed to mean. To be just a little less arrogant. To have just a little critical awareness about myself and my certainties. Because a huge percentage of the stuff that I tend to be automatically certain of is, it turns out, totally wrong and deluded. I have learned this the hard way, as I predict you graduates will too. Learning from experience. Learning from experience. Experience. Learning from experience. 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 Learning from experience.
So, in the same way, we find that the watching self, or the observing self, behind all our thoughts and feelings, is itself a thought. That is to say, when the police enter a house in which there are thieves, the thieves go up from the ground floor to the first floor. When the police arrive on the first floor, the thieves have gone up to the second, and so to the third, and finally out to the roof. And so when the ego is about to be unearthed, it immediately identifies with the higher self. It goes up a level. Because the religious game is simply a refined and highbrow version of the ordinary game. How can I outwit me? How can I one-up me? So, if I find, for example, that in the quest for pleasure, the ordinary pleasures of the world, food, sex, power, power, all this becomes a drag, and I think, no, it isn't there, so I go in for the arts, literature, poetry, music, and I absorb myself in those pleasures, food, sex, power, and I absorb myself in literature, poetry, music, those pleasures, food, sex, power, and I absorb myself in literature, poetry, music, so I go to psychoanalysis, and then I found out that's not the answer. I go to religion. But I'm still seeking what I was seeking when I wanted candy bars. I want to get that goodie. Only I see now that, of course, it's not going to be a material goodie. totally unpleasant at all. So it is with the higher self. The higher self's your old ego. And you sure hope it is eternal. Food, sex, power. I absorb myself in literature, poetry, music, love, pleasure. Food, sex, power. I absorb myself in literature, poetry, music, love, pleasure. Food, sex, power. I absorb myself in literature, poetry, music, love, pleasure. Food, sex, power.
So you see, there's something going on. This web may be looked at as pattern, and the world is basically patterning. What else do you do when you come to think of it? What else do you do when you come to think of it? When you eat, you are turning food into the pattern of your skeleton, your muscles, and your nervous system. That's a pattern. And you say you see basically hooray for that pattern. That's a pattern. And you say you see basically hooray for that pattern. But then you want other patterns. You like to look through a microscope and see the patterns that exist in the small world. And see the patterns. You like to look through a kaleidoscope or a telescope and see the patterns. You like to have paintings around and see the patterns. You like to watch the water play and see the patterns. You want to watch the birds go, the clouds, and all that. Fascinating patterns. And that really doesn't it seem to be the point? I mean, what do you do when you're very rich? Take some rascal of ancient times who became very rich by all sorts of skullduggery and warfare and so on. He got himself a suit of armor, a beautiful sword. And he had the armorer make the most intricate patterns, arabesques of inlaid gold on the steel. Why? Because it's, as they say among the Pennsylvania Dutch, it's for nice. It's a great thing to have all that jazz. And that's what we go for. That's a pattern. And you say you see basically hooray for that pattern. That's a pattern. And you say you see basically hooray for that pattern. But then you want other patterns. You like to look through a microscope and see the patterns that exist in the small world. And see the patterns. You like to look through a kaleidoscope or a telescope and see the patterns. You like to have paintings around and see the patterns. You like to watch the water play and see the patterns. You want to watch the birds go.
sort of people who spend their lives saving for their old age, try to teach their children to do the same thing. Always hoping that tomorrow will be the great day. The great day. The great day. Always hoping that tomorrow will be the great day. The great day. And therefore incapable of enjoying themselves today. The Buddhists in Japan call it Jiji Muge. Jiji Muge. Between event and event, there is no block. And they represent this imagistically as a network. Imagine a multidimensional spider web covered in dew in the morning. And every single drop of dew on this web contains in it the reflections of all the other drops of dew. And of course, in turn, in every drop of dew that one drop reflects, there is the reflection of all the others again. And they use this image to represent the interdependence of everything in the world. You see, it takes two. We could have so much fun, but it takes more than one. You see, it takes two. We could have so much fun, but it takes more than one. She don't want it. In other words, if we give this dewdrop image, if we put it into a linguistic analogy, we would say this: words have meaning only in context. The meaning of any word depends upon the sentence or upon the paragraph in which it's found. So that if I say this tree has no bark, that's one thing. And if I say this dog has no bark, that's another thing. So you see always that the meaning of the word is in relation to the context. Now in exactly the same way, the meaning as well as the existence of an individual person, an organism, is in relation to the context. You are what you are. Sitting here at this moment, in your particular kind of clothes, and with the particular colors of your faces, and your particular personalities, your family involvements, your business involvement, your neuroses, and your everything. You are that precisely in relation to an extremely complex environment. You see, it takes two. We could have so much fun, but it takes more than one. You see, it takes two. We could have so much fun, but it takes more than one. She don't want it. If a given star that we observe didn't exist, you would be different from what you are now. I don't say you wouldn't exist, but you would exist differently. You might say the connection is very faint, is something that you don't ordinarily have to think about. It's not important. But basically it is important. Only you say, I don't have to think about it, because it's there all the time. See, for example, the floor is underneath you all the time. Some sort of floor, some sort of earth. And you really don't have to think about it. Because it's just always there. It's always around. If you become insensitive, you stop thinking about it. But there it is. So in the same way, our subtle interdependence with, mind you, it's not just our plain existence. It's the kind of existence we have is dependent upon all existence. Also our plain existence, but that gets way down. The fundamental thing is existence is relationship. In other words, if my finger out here is all alone and the wind doesn't move and nothing touches it, it stops knowing that it's there. But if something comes along and does immediately, it's aware that it's there. So you see, it takes two. We could have so much fun, but it takes more than one. You see, it takes two. We could have so much fun, but it takes more than one. She don't know. But in this way, you see, what we call duality, well, you can see, can't you, how duality is fundamental. It takes two. But duality is always secretly unity. Unity. Duality is always secretly unity. 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 Unity.
One way of conceptualizing yourself is that you're one speck of dust among 7 billion. And when you conceptualize yourself that way, you might think, well, what difference does it make what I say or do? And that's actually quite convenient for you, because if it doesn't matter what you say or do, then you don't have any responsibility and you can do whatever you want. The price you pay for that is a bit of nihilism, but if you don't have to shoulder any responsibility, that's a small price to pay. The other way of looking at it, and this is actually the accurate way of looking at it, is that you're in a network. You're a node in a network, and so you can do a little bit of arithmetic very rapidly and just figure out how powerful you are. You know 1,000 people. They know 1,000 people. That means that you're one person away from 1 million people and 2 persons away from 1 billion people. And you're the center of that network. And now the way networks work is that information propagates in a network manner. So don't underestimate the power of your speech. Don't underestimate the power of truth. There's nothing more powerful. Tell the truth. 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 Or at least don't lie. That's a start. Tell the truth. 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 Or at least don't lie. That's a start. Now, in order to speak what you might regard as the truth, you have to let go of the outcome. You have to think, all right, I'm going to say what I think, stupid as I am, biased as I am, ignorant as I am. I'm going to state what I think as clearly as I can, and I'm going to live with the consequences no matter what they are. Now, the reason you think that, that's an element of faith. The idea is that nothing brings a better world into being than the stated truth. Now, you might have to pay a price for that, but that's fine. You're going to pay a price for every bloody thing you do and everything you don't do. You don't get to choose to not pay a price. You get to choose which poison you're going to take. That's it. Tell the truth. 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 Or at least don't lie. That's a start. Tell the truth. 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 Or at least don't lie. That's a start. It's almost impossible to provide balance of risks. It's like, you want to pay the price for being who you are and stating your mode of being in the world, or do you want to pay the price for being a bloody serf, one that's enslaved him or herself? Well, that's a major price, man. That thing unfolds over decades, and you'll just be a miserable worm at the end of about 20 years of that, right? No self-respect, no power, no ability to voice your opinions, nothing left but resentment because everyone's against you. Say what you think carefully. Pay attention to your words. But it's a price you want to pay if you are willing to believe that truth is the cornerstone of society in the most real sense. If you're willing to take that leap, then tell the truth and see what happens. Tell the truth. 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 Or at least don't lie. That's a start. Tell the truth. 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 Or at least don't lie. That's a start. You think, well, I'll lie and I'll get away with it. It's like, no, you won't. You cannot get away with warping the structure of being. It's like, well, I can lie and get away with it. It's like, I see. Here's your theory. There's all this reality around you that you don't comprehend at all. And there's not that much of you. There's a lot of it. And you're going to do something that isn't in harmony with that. And it's going to work. That's your theory.
You know, I mean, of course we've gotten soft as a culture in the U.S. Because the U.S. has had an incredible 200-year run, right? Like, this is just what happens. And that's a great thing. That means there's been enormous amounts of prosperity. But let's not be naive. I mean, people literally complain when somebody gives them the wrong amount of, like, extra cream in a Starbucks $6 coffee. My lack of interest in complaining is so high, and when I watch what people complain about, it breaks my heart because they completely lack perspective. I genuinely believe my happiness and optimism comes from my perspective. Even in political unrest times like right now, a lot of people are very bent out of shape, but the reality is that it's just never been better. It's just never been better to be a human being. It's just never been better. That's just the truth. That's just data. That's reality. It's just never been better to be a human being. It's just never been better. That's just the truth. That's just data. That's reality. It's just an incredible time, and I think the way people look at the world right now is actually the quickest tell to who they are. If you think it sucks or it's bad, you have losing pessimistic DNA. And if you think it's awesome and phenomenal, you have optimistic winning DNA. And I believe that to be true.